Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about a really good article I found on the surveillance state, and it goes into different ways on how big tech companies and fusion centers and all this is tracking us. And this is for non-TIs too, because you better get ready. And it's going to explain like 8 different ways that they're tracking you, non-TIs too. But first, I'm going to start with an interesting Bible verse when I was reading I came across, and this is for my believing TIs. And if you're not a believer, just feel free to fast forward to the information I'm fixing to share, which will be right after this verse. It says it's from Isaiah 51, 7 and 8, verse 7 and 8. Listen to me, you who know righteousness, you people in whose heart is my law. Do not fear the reproach of men, nor be afraid of their insults. For the moth will eat them up like a garment, and the worm will eat them like wool. But my righteousness will be forever, and my salvation from generation to generation. I thought that was a good one. Okay. And today I'm going to outline. I have a very good video about silent weapons, and I got to outline it because it's a bunch of pages, and I'm trying to condense it into a bunch of research I've done, but I want to condense it into the important information and leave out all the stuff that might just be dragging the videos along. All right, geofencing dragnets, fusion centers, smart devices, behavioral threat assessments, terror watch lists, facial recognition, snitch tip lines, biometric scanners, pre-crime, DNA databases, data mining, precognitive technology, contact tracing apps. What these add up to is a world in which on any given day the average person is now monitored, surveilled, spied on, and tracked in more than 20 different ways by both government and corporate eyes and ears. Big tech wedded to big government has become Big Brother. Every second of every day, the American people are being spied on by a vast network of digital peeping toms, electronic eavesdroppers, and robotic snoops. This creepy new era of government corporate spying, in which we're being listened to, watched, tracked, followed, mapped, bought, sold, and targeted, has been made possible by a global army of techno tyrants, fusion centers, and peeping toms. Consider just a small sampling of the tools being used to track Consider just a small sampling of the tools being used to track our movements, monitor our spending, and sniff out all ways in which our thoughts, actions, and social circles might land us on the government's naughty list, whether you've done anything wrong. Tracking you based on here's the first one, and it gets better. I mean, everybody knows about this one. This is the phone. All right. Tracking you based on your phone and movements. Cell phones have become de facto snitches, offering up steady stream of digital location, data on users' movements and travels. For instance, the FBI was able to use geofence data to identify more than 5,000 mobile devices and their owners in a 4-acre area around the Capitol on January 6th. This latest surveillance tactic could land you in jail for being in the wrong place and time. Police are also using cell site simulators to carry out mass surveillance of protesters without need for warrant. Moreover, federal agents can now employ a number of hacking methods in order to gain access to your computer activities and see whatever you're seeing on your monitor. Malicious hacking software can also be used to remotely activate cameras and microphones, offering another means of glimpsing into a target's personal business, tracking you based on your DNA. DNA technology in the hands of government officials completes our transition to a surveillance state. If you have the misfortune to leave your DNA traces anywhere a crime has been committed, you've already got a file somewhere in some state or federal database, albeit it may be a file without a name. By accessing your DNA, the government will soon know everything about you that they don't already know. Your family chart, your ancestry, what you look like, your health history, your inclination to follow orders or chart your own course. After all, a DNA print reveals everything about who we are, where we come from, and who we will be. It can also be used to predict the physical appearance of potential suspects. It's only a matter of time before the police state's pursuit of criminal expands into genetic profiling and a preemptive hunt for criminals of the future. And they can also, with the total interview, Brian Colfer talks about the total individual control technology. They can track you by your DNA using that too. Track you by your face. Facial recognition software aims to create a society in which every individual who steps into public is tracked and recorded as they go about their daily business. Coupled with surveillance cameras that blanket the country, the facial recognition technology allows the government and its corporate partners to identify and track someone's movements in real time. One particularly controversial software program created by Clearview Artificial Intelligence has been used by police, the FBI, and Department of Homeland Security to collect photos on social media sites for inclusion in a massive facial recognition database. Similarly, biometric software, which relies on one's unique identifiers, fingerprints, irises, and voice prints, is becoming the standard for navigating security lines, as well as bypassing digital locks, gaining access to phones, computers, office buildings. In fact, greater numbers of travelers are opting into programs that rely on their biometrics in order to avoid long waits at airport security. Scientists are also developing lasers that can identify, survey, and surveil individuals based on their heartbeat, scent, and microbiome, tracking you based on your behavior. Rapid advances in your behavior science are not only making it possible for individuals to be monitored and tracked based on their patterns of movement or behavior, including gait recognition, the way one walks, but have given rise to whole industries that revolve around predicting one's behavior based on data and surveillance patterns and also shaping the behavior of whole populations. One smart anti-riot surveillance system purports to predict mass riots and unauthorized public events by using artificial intelligence to analyze social media, news, news sources, surveillance video feeds, and public transportation data. And that's the reason I'm sharing this video, is because, man, we don't have no privacy no more, much less being tracked and monitored. Everything we do is monitored. It's not like the days when I was growing up. You ride a bicycle around the neighborhood and you ain't got no cell phones or nothing. You see mom, you see your family when you get home, or you stop at a friend's house, use their house phone. It wasn't no. I mean, I'm sure they were tracking us then, but not near as much as they are now, tracking you based on your spending and consumer activities. Whatever smartphone we buy, every GPS device we install, every Twitter, Facebook, Google account we open, even frequent buyer card we use for purchases, whether at grocery store, yogurt shop, airlines, or a department store, and every credit and debit card we use to pay for our transactions. We're helping corporate America build a dossier for its government counterparts on who we know, what we think, how we spend our money, and how we spend our time. Consumer surveillance, by which our activities and data in the physical online realms are tracked and shared with advertisers, has become roughly a big business, a $300 billion industry that routinely harvests your data for profit. Corporations such as Target have not only been tracking and assessing the behavior of customers' particular purchase pattern for years, but the retailers also funded major surveillance in cities across the country and developed behavioral surveillance algorithms that can determine whether someone's mannerism might fit the profile of a thief, tracking based on your public activities. Private corporations, in conjunction with police agencies throughout the country, have created a web of surveillance that encompasses all major cities in order to monitor large groups of people seamlessly, as in the case of protests and rallies. They are also engaging in extensive online surveillance, looking for any hints of large public events, social unrest, gang communications, and criminally predicated individuals. Defense contractors have been at the forefront of this lucrative market. Fusion centers, $330 million a year, information sharing hubs for federal, state, law enforcement agencies monitor and report such suspicious behavior as people buying pallets of bottled water, photographing government buildings, and applying for pilots license suspicious activity. And all this stuff is when, oh man, their behavior's off. We've been tracking them, they're doing something wrong. Well, really, somebody might not even be doing nothing wrong. It's perceived at it, and then they get put on a target list like us target individuals who are getting tortured for no reason and no consent at all. Tracking you based on your social media activities. Every move you make, especially on social media, is monitored, mined for data, crunched, and tabulated in order to form a picture of who you are, what makes you tick, how best to control you when and if it becomes necessary to bring you in the line. As The Intercept reported, the FBI, CIA, NSA, and other government agencies are increasingly investing in and relying on corporate surveillance technologies that can mine constitutionally protected speech on social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, in order to identify potential extremists and predict who might engage in the future acts of anti-government behavior. This obsession with social media as a form of surveillance will have some frightening consequences in coming years, as Helen A.S. Popkin writing for NBC News observed. We may very well face a future where algorithms bust people in massey for referencing illegal Game of Thrones downloads. The new software has the potential to roll Terminator style, targeting every social media user with a shameful confession or questionable sense of humor, tracking you based on your social network. not content to merely spy on individuals through their online activity. Government agencies are now using surveillance technology to track one's social network, the people you might connect by phone, text message, email, through social media, in order to ferret out possible criminals. An FBI document obtained by Rolling Stone speaks to ease with which agents are able to access address book data from Facebook, WhatsApp, and Apple iMessage services from the accounts of targeted individuals and individuals not under investigation who might have had a targeted individual within their network. What this creates is a guilt by association society in which we are all guilty as the most culpable person in our address book, tracking you based on your car. License plate readers are mass surveillance tools that can photograph over 1,800 license tag numbers per minute, take a picture of every passing license tag number, and store the tag number and the date, time, location of the picture in searchable database. Then share the data with law enforcement, fusion centers, and private companies to track movements of persons in their cars. With tens of thousands of license plate readers now in operation throughout the country, affixed to overpasses, cop cars throughout business sectors and residential neighborhoods. It allows police to track vehicles and run plates through law enforcement databases for abducted children, stolen cars, missing people, and wanted fugitives. Of course, the technology is not infallible. There have been numerous incidents in which police have mistakenly relied on license plate data to capture out suspects, only to end up detaining innocent people at gunpoint, tracking you by your mail. Just about every branch of the government, from Postal Service to Treasury Department, and every agency in between, now has its own surveillance sector authorized to spy on American people. For instance, the U.S. Postal Service, which has been photographing the exterior of every piece of paper mail for the past 20 years, is also spying on Americans' texts, emails, social media posts. Headed by the Post Office Service's Law Enforcement Division, the Internet Covert Operations Program is reportedly using facial recognition technology combined with fake online identities to ferret out potential troublemakers with inflammatory posts. The agency claims that online surveillance, which falls outside its conventional scope of the processing and delivering paper mail, is necessary to help postal workers avoid potentially volatile situations. Now the government wants us to believe that we have nothing to fear from these mass spying programs as long as we've done nothing wrong. Don't believe it. The government's definition of a bad guy is extraordinary broad, and it results in the warrantless surveillance of innocent, law-abiding Americans on a staggering scale. And America will never be safe as long as the U.S. government is allowed to shred the Constitution. And no country will be safe if they don't have right to their own privacy. I think it's really messed up. The Constitution actually protects our privacy. We're supposed to, but it don't protect it. But it was set up to protect it. Anyway, God bless y'all. Like I said, I'm going to try to compile that one video I got today. It's going to be a very long, but it's going to be some very informational stuff that will make you think, like, wow. Anyway, God bless y'all. I hope y'all have a good day.